This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Kevin Tucker and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic!
What is going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is August 18th, 2025. Jonathan Osborne here. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Kevin Tucker. Kevin, what is going on, man? How are you?
Yo, good, man. Glad to be back. I got to say, I really enjoyed Thursday's show. We got to do a live show after the release of the schedule. That was a lot of fun. Got to get those watching live involved in the chat. Got to get their thoughts on the schedule and our record. We had a lot of audacious record predictions in that show. You had, what, 57 wins. We had a lot of people in the chat going 59 wins, 60 wins. So a lot of Magic fans really excited for the season, obviously, and rightfully so. But yeah, I really enjoyed Thursday's live show. We might have to make that a thing going forward. Live shows on schedule release day. That was fun. But yeah, how have you been?
I've been pretty good. I'm looking, because I took to Twitter the next day to see,
right,
what other people thought. And I mean, we got 54 responses, and I think I only saw 2 people that had us at less than 50 wins, which, is pretty exciting. Obviously, the entire fan base is feeling the excitement and the hype. And although I haven't spent too much more time since the last episode, had some, family, personal stuff going on at the end of last week, so I wasn't really able to jump too much more into it. But at this point, now I'm just really excited for the season to start. I'm right there with you with the live content. Last year, you and I started to do more live stuff. Like we would do, kind of combine the post-game lives with the pod, especially on the West Coast nights where, the games would end at 1:00.
Or the playoff games, we did it as well, yeah.
Yeah, and we don't have as much of an opportunity to do that this year, especially in terms of the late games, because we just don't have that many. What is it, 10 p.m. games all season, which, I mean, we usually probably only have 7 or 8 total, but it just feels weird to not have that. But you and I have been talking about this all off season, kind of off air, but we do need to find a way to do more live shows, and apart from the post game live, which obviously you and Matt and Sam and myself from time to time all do a great job, or you guys do a great job. I probably do a good job, but trying to do more of that and get people more involved. So, but yeah, it was a great time. I had a lot of fun doing that.
I also just want to add, while we're talking about it and talking about how, excited everyone is for the season and all those kinds of things, we do get some basketball coming up. Eurobasket's right around the corner. We'll talk about that in a second. But as we were talking about that, I had to look at the calendar and I realized today, Monday, the 18th, we are 6 weeks away from Media Day. So we are knocking on the door of some Magic basketball, especially because the preseason starts a little bit early this year. So Media Day is on that Monday, the 29th of September, I think it is, 28th, whatever it is.
Something like that.
And then, 29th. And then that next Saturday, less than a week later, is the game in against Miami in Puerto Rico. So
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, so we're less than 7 weeks now from seeing tip-off of preseason Magic basketball, and that gets me very excited.
Speaking of preseason, this is a little bit unrelated, and I'm going a little bit off of script here, but have you made a decision on whether or not you are a football fan moving forward?
I don't think we've actually talked about this on the show, have we?
I think maybe we did, but yeah,
I don't
let
know.
everybody know kind of where you're at with that.
Guys, I'm just an exhausted football fan. Last season, I just had a lot of evaluating in my life when it comes to football. And I came to the conclusion this summer that I'm just not going to partake in American football anymore for a lot of reasons. Mainly because I think college football is rigged and I can't stand it. But plus my NFL team is just very meh. It's fine. I'm a Bucs fan, so the team is meh. It's good. It's okay. We're just in a terrible division, and so it makes us look a little bit better. And so I all summer was like, I'm done with football. It just takes up too much of my time, too much of my energy, too much of my emotions. And so I'm done. And, like as, there's just been, the calendar going closer and closer to fall. You start to get like those the little itch, where you're just like, you're used to watching football for your first 3 years of your life. And then now you're just going to go cold turkey. So I don't know. I'll probably watch some football, let's be honest, but I don't think I'm going to be quite as invested as I've been for the previous 30 years of my life.
I have to tell you, knowing that your team won a championship as recently as 2020, and you're like, oh, my team just kind of meh now. Like, it's a little annoying. I got to be fully honest with you.
It's a little bit of a different team.
For of course, it's a different team, but like you literally just got a Super Bowl 5 years ago. And for someone who my team for the better part of the last decade, by week 3 or week 4, I know that my entire season is over. I have no sympathy for you on that end. Now, when it comes to the college football stuff, admittedly, I don't know enough really in that realm to say like one way or another. But like I kind of understand, what you're saying, at least in terms of, the way that the sport is marketed and some of the like network bias, obviously for the Southeastern Conference. Let's just call a spade a spade. It is what it is.
Hey, I'll be fair. The Big Ten is starting to be a part of that as well with their own little corner of the media market. But yes, it's SEC Big Ten bias. And the whole college sports world is kind of contaminated at this point. But regardless, I will keep my eye on football this year, but I can't say for sure. Even if I do watch my teams really closely, especially Florida State, like I don't think I'm ever going to watch them the same. Like I'll be more of a casual just enjoyer as opposed to like a diehard, like live or die by every snap, just because at the end of the day in college football these days, it doesn't really mean anything. It's a game of money, unfortunately, these days, but it is what it is. And I'm going to watch football, just not quite the same.
So you're not planning any type of like road trip for FSU this year?
No, that's another thing. I haven't planned that, which will be obviously last year I couldn't because of my surgery. But before that, I've done a FSU road game every year for like 7-8 years before that. So, but yeah, not
end of an era.
End of an era. That's for sure.
Well, the whole reason that I brought all this up because we're talking about preseason basketball and preseason football was on last night, Bucks Steelers. And I just get tired every year of these people. Oh, guess what? This week's the Hall of Fame game. Football's back. It's like football isn't back. You watch that for 5 minutes, you realize how much it sucks, and then it's all right. Well, at least we got preseason in a couple weeks. Oh, football's back.
Nope.
And then you watch the starters for your team play the very first series.
Yep.
The scrubs come in. Well, for me, it's been a little bit different because that means I get to watch like a quarter and a half of Jackson Dart, which has been really fun. But outside of that, like preseason football just sucks. And listen, preseason basketball also kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So we do this thing every year where we're like, oh man, here comes media day. Oh, here comes preseason. Oh, preseason started a little early this year. Basketball's back early. And then we're like a quarter and a half into it. And it's like Paolo's sitting on the bench. Franz plays 5 minutes in the second half. And we're like, oh, that's right. Preseason basketball also sucks.
Dude, you are not wrong. You hit it on the head. And I can't, but I still can't wait to experience that, especially this year. It's going to be great.
The most exciting part of preseason one is the game in Puerto Rico is going to be awesome. I think that might be a little bit different. There's still going to be some elements of like, oh, this is very much preseason basketball.
Right.
But I do think maybe we'll get a bit more like normal, like regular season basketball than we typically would, which may or may not age well, that statement that I just made. But I think we'll probably see, like the icon and the association jerseys, like the new ones during preseason. So we'll kind of get the first look at those.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll get the new jerseys that day on the 4th. And I'll just go on record and saying I don't think they're going to change anything about the first preseason game. I don't. I think they're going to treat it just like if it was at Kia Center. The guys will play exactly what they're supposed to play. This front office is not risking anything just for a good show in San Juan, just to be honest. That's what I think, at least, but I could be wrong.
Totally fair. Hey, I don't know if you saw, but there's been an update to the floor at Kia Center outside of the Magic locker room. So, since, Kia opened, or since Amway opened and then became Kia, there's been this kind of like mosaic on the floor, like in the tile right outside the Magic locker room, like in the tunnel with the Magic logo on it. And there's been an update to that, it seems. Did you catch that on social media?
I did. Yeah. Shout out to Alec, who at least that's where I saw it. Maybe you saw it somewhere else, but
I think that was where I saw it as well.
Yeah. So yeah, he snapped a pic of it, and yeah, it was it's interesting. I mean, obviously it looks nice. It's hard to tell from the picture what it is, if it is another mosaic that they've replaced it, or if they've just covered the mosaic with some sort of decal or vinyl or something. But either way, it still looks good. Like seeing the new logo there, obviously it is another indication of the new era, but it's just another reminder of how many logos in that building and at the training center that have to be swapped out. I also saw Jacob Diamond, the Magic's team, what do you call it? Equipment manager guy. He posted
equipment manager several, guy. That's his,
sorry,
his official new title.
Brain, whatever. He's posted several pictures over the course of the summer of just various things at the Advent Health Training Center that have changed. And this week he did post, that like wood grain wall, like by those little set of bleachers there. The logo behind that did get changed to like this cool 3D.
In the training center.
Of the new logo. So that's cool. The new floors in the training center have been done. Obviously, the actual basketball court floors. So we saw the weight room in the training center. That's done. That looks cool. That wall looks really sick.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of. I can't imagine the budget required to update logos. I mean, think about when you go to games, signs and bathrooms and floors and outside and inside, and the training center is maybe even more logos. They're everywhere. And so I can't imagine the budget that's required to update all those, but excited to see how it looks when we get there on opening night.
What I think will be fun, because I mean, you would have to think it's inevitably going to happen. You know how like at Disney, there's like the hidden Mickeys, like Mickeys that like, aren't super apparent, but like if you kind of squint and tilt your head in just the right way, you can like see the outline of Mickey.
Yeah.
Like people at Kia Center finding like old Magic logos, like things that they forgot about that weren't replaced, unless you're just going to be like incredibly thorough. But you have to, it's got to be like thousands of logos, like between the training center and actual Kia Center itself.
Yeah.
In terms of like the update to the floor outside of the locker room, I'm a little bit torn, because it literally right now it looks like it was just covered like maybe with like black paint, and then the new logo, like the one that's on your hat, the new, I guess the primary logo is there in the middle of the floor. At least I believe it is. Is it the same? It is the global logo.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me go back. It is Alex, maybe Alec on Twitter. And yeah, it's the same logo essentially that's at center court on the floor right now. So it's the new global logo. That old like mosaic on the floor was like such a nice kind of touch. And it's like iconic kind of in my opinion. I hope at some point they update this. I know it's really hard to do all of these things like in one summer. So I'm hoping this is just kind of like a temporary thing, because I did just love that old touch that was outside of the locker rooms. But I mean, that logo just looks so freaking good, wherever it is. So it's just a reminder again of just how much they need to update.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, in other Magic news, as the Team Germany, the national team, their summer continues as they go through, which now they're actually, they're in this was the Super Cup final. They played Turkey on Friday, I believe it was, or was that Thursday? I don't remember, in the Super Cup semifinal, and then played Serbia in the Super Cup final, which, if I'm not mistaken, I believe is going to put an end to their like pre-Eurobasket schedule. I'll take a look at that in a second here, but they lost 81-91. Franz Wagner in 30 minutes in that game, 26 points. He was 8 of 17 from the floor, but 2 of 9 from behind the arc. Quite a few people have pointed that out to us. And then Tristan da Silva with, arguably his best game for Team Germany so far, 14 points in almost 17 minutes. He was 5 of 6 from the floor. He was 2 of 3 from behind the arc. So still, not a lot of, actually not at all, Daniel Tice in this game. They did get Mauro Low back, Dennis Schroeder, playing as well. this team just kind of still has to gel from some of the new pieces on the team to the new coach. It doesn't exactly feel like the same Germany team that we've seen in previous summers. Also, a huge hole in this team with Mo Wagner. But yeah, I'm interested to see how they kind of take this as they go into Eurobasket and see if they're gonna, kind of round into form, because like to this point, they've looked pretty solid, but just haven't quite looked like the same team that we saw, in the World Cup, a couple summers ago.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know if you saw Luka, I guess, got hurt on Friday or Saturday, so, by hurt, I mean, I think they ended up saying, what was it, just a sprained ankle, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see if Luka, continues to play this summer. But my point being, like, if you go down the list of teams that you would expect to compete at the highest level of Eurobasket, any team that has Luka is going to have a chance. Obviously, Serbia going to be one of the favorites as well. Obviously beating Germany there on Saturday, I guess it was. But then, yeah, Germany's right up there with all those other teams that I think could be there. But yeah, I mean, the Franz thing, yeah, Magic fans, I think, really want to start shooting the basketball better. We're really hoping to get a glimpse of that this summer, and so far it just hasn't been there, which I'm not totally concerned. Maybe I am concerned. I mean, I've been concerned, obviously, but I don't think I'm totally panicking yet. There's still a lot of summer to be had and a lot of games to be had here for Germany even. And so, yeah, we'll see. But I think it's worth keeping an eye on.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, actual Eurobasket is what, like 9 days away? I think Germany's first game is the 27th or something like that. So,
and I forgot about the Spain games. So they're going to play one game on the 21st in Madrid, and then they'll play another game on the 23rd in Cologne.
Yeah.
So what is that going to be, like this Wednesday and Friday of this week? I believe that's going to be, or no, Thursday and Saturday. Yeah, Thursday and Saturday. And then, yeah, we are like 9 days out from Eurobasket starting. So right. Spain's always a good team. Want to see Germany play well against them. I'm looking at Hard Rock right now. Serbia is the favorite to win Eurobasket at plus 150, and Germany is behind them at plus 475. So Serbia, like, relatively, heavy favorites right now. So, but yeah, I definitely want to see Franz knock down some threes, but scoring the ball well. Definitely need some help from his teammates. Tristan da Silva's, picking up some of the slack there, and he's going to be big for Germany going into Eurobasket. So looking forward to see those last couple of friendlies, and then looking forward to getting into Eurobasket here in about a week and a half. So
the Six Man Show is brought to you by Jam Hot Chicken. Jam Hot Chicken, they're bringing jams, culture, and hot chicken to the heart of Winter Park. They make some of the best food in all of Central Florida, and we know you're going to like it. If you haven't been, you should go check them out at 400 West New England Avenue, Suite 13 in Hannibal Square, right there in beautiful Winter Park. Whether it's the Sando, which is their sandwich, or the box, or right now I still think they have the Sixth Man wrap, which was really good when I had that a couple months ago. All the stuff's really good. You're going to love every little bit of it. And the thing I always like to tell people is, if you're going to go to Jam, you just, whatever spice level you think you can tolerate, go a level below. Because when we say it's hot chicken, they're not playing around. It's hot chicken. So if you like hot, start with the mild, see how you like it. Or if you don't like spice at all, don't worry. They've got you covered. You can get it plain with no spice, and it's still just as good. You can check them out on social media at Jam Hot Chicken, or go to their website, jamhotchickenfl.com, where you can check out their menu, order online, and all things Jam Hot Chicken. Again, we're big fans of Jam Hot Chicken because they're big fans of this Orlando Magic fan community. And so when you go to Jam Hot Chicken, just let them know that the Six Man Show sent you.
This episode is also brought to you by Emil Kalidziv, Jonathan Fisher, Austin Vogt, Jeremiah Quintero, and Kane Eckler. These are some of our Hall of Fame and elite tier patrons. They love what we're doing here so much that they went over to patreon.com/the Six Man Show, where for as little as $2 a month, first of all, you can just help support the show if that's what you want to do. But then, like, starting with our $5 tier, you can get access to our Discord community, which at this point, I believe we're closing in on 100 Discord members talking Orlando Magic basketball and really just like a ton of stuff. Movies, video games, NFL is getting ready to start up. So there's been some talk of that in the chat as well. But then like our Elite and Hall of Fame tier, where you get access to ad-free episodes, our monthly Zoom meetings, and other benefits. So whatever you're most comfortable with, whatever works best for you, you just want to help support the show, help us do everything that we do. You can head on over to patreon.com/the Six Man Show, because we literally can't do any of this without you all. Whenever we have brand new patrons, we give them a very special shout out on the episode. And just like we did at the beginning here, we shout out some of our Elite and Hall of Fame tier patrons each and every episode as well. So again, patreon.com/the Six Man Show. Pick whatever tier works best for you. And now let's go ahead and get back to the episode. Okay. We have a really special guest that we're going to get to now. Our friend, the Podfather, Philip Rossman-Reich of OrlandoMagicDaily.com, and also Locked On Magic on the Locked On Network. Going to have a great conversation with him about the schedule, expectations, the Desmond Bane fit, Franz Wagner, and obviously all things Orlando Magic. So let's go ahead now and get to our conversation with our friend, Philip Rossman-Reich. And now, Magic fans, we are joined by a very special guest and close friend of ours, the Podfather, Philip Rossman-Reich, the senior writer at Orlando Magic Daily and host of Locked On Magic. I think at this point of the offseason, are you still going daily, or have you scaled it back a little bit as we get through the last dog days of the offseason?
I'm allowed to scale it back, but I've gone 5 days. I went 5 days last week. I've got 5 days worth of episodes planned this week. I probably should go easy. If I miss a day, I'm just whatever. Or if I crash early, it's just whatever. But still, check your inboxes 5 days a week. Still, I'm still going strong, especially once Eurobasket starts. I'm going to be recapping all those games. So there'll be a game every day at that point.
Yeah, absolute maniac. One of the things we pride ourselves on here at the Six Man Show is being consistent, but our version of consistency is Mondays and Thursdays. You take it to a different level. So yeah, if you need more Magic content, if you're not already listening to Locked On Magic, what are you doing? You absolutely have to. But yeah, so I guess for Jonathan and I, we, like you said, Monday, Thursday during the summer, sometimes we have to dig a little deep to find some content to talk about. Doing that 5 days a week, what kind of things do you grab? Past, future, present? What? You're just kind of all over the place, right?
It's a little bit all over the place. I end up rehashing a lot of stuff. I'm still producing, writing. So it's usually whatever I'm thinking about writing wise. But it is rehashing a lot of things. We'll talk about it here, I'm sure. It's a lot of Franz Wagner needs to shoot better. It's, this Desmond Bane's going to open up space for everybody else. I got a Jalen Suggs shooting podcast lined up this week that I've probably done before, but it's just let's repackage just a little bit. Maybe you missed it. It's, for 5 days a week, for months and months and months. I can't expect everybody to listen to everything. Our analytics, thank you to my Orlando Magic dailies who listen every day, but we don't expect you to listen every day. Our analytics tell us you're not. So I rehash some things here and there, but I do my best. There have been some days where I'm just I'm sorry guys. I'm really hitting the bottom of the barrel. I may take tomorrow off just to have some stuff built up. But thankfully we got guys in Eurobasket to feed the news engine.
Speaking of news, schedule finally dropped last Thursday. We've all been poring over that now, for several days, especially heavily on Thursday. What are your thoughts on the schedule? To me, it feels a little bit more balanced than it has been in previous years. I think a big part of that is the Magic are better, so we're expecting them to win more games. So the New Yorks and the Bostons and the Clevelands of the world maybe don't seem as daunting. But overall thoughts on the schedule so far, Phil?
Balanced is definitely the word that I would use just looking at it. I usually the first thing I do when I get that email from George with the schedule is I put it in my calendar. I honestly feel I'll first look at all the national TV games because I know we're obsessed with that, but I'll just put it in my calendar, and that gives me a feel of kind of the rhythm of the season. And I was honestly expecting a lot more trouble in this schedule just because they're going to Europe. And, I remember when I was covering the playoff series against the Cavs, we were talking to the Cleveland reporters, and they all talked about that the Cavs had what they called the Paris tax. They went to Paris that season. And while they still played well after they came back from that trip, they tripped up a little bit coming down the stretch. And that's how they ended up as the 4 seed that year. And so they were kind of telling us like, yeah, ever since they came back from Paris, things have felt a little bit off. Like even when I was in Indianapolis, toward the end of the season last year, and even the Pacers writers were telling us like, yeah, Carlisle's done some different things to just kind of give the guys some rest. And so I was expecting like the schedule to be a little bit more compressed. They play a lot more back-to-backs. They'd have to pay for essentially taking a week off to play only 2 games in Berlin and London. And frankly, that just doesn't seem to be the case. Like the Magic had 14 back-to-backs. There's 5 home back-to-backs, which I'm a huge fan of. I think if the league is going to do back-to-backs, more home back-to-backs, like just get rid of the travel element of those back-to-backs. Obviously, I don't think can get rid of all of it. And so like everything that I was really concerned about in the schedule ended up like not happening. Like there's not a ton of back-to-backs. Maybe there's more 4 days and 4 games and 5 nights. Or, like I think there's maybe a few 5 and 7 nights, which will be really, really tough. But they get a big road trip at the beginning of the year, which is, if you're going to take a big road trip, beginning of the year is fine. Everyone's well rested. Like it's good to bring the team together. And even that 5-game road trip at the start of the season, it's Philadelphia, Charlotte, Washington, Detroit, Atlanta, not in that order. Fairly manageable. Like Philadelphia could be a swing game. Like, do I like playing the bad teams early in the season when they still have hope? Not particularly, but very, like the Magic should be favored in all of those games. The only game that I'm a little worried about is that Atlanta game at the end, because that's their first national TV game. Last game of a road trip is always tough. Atlanta's gonna be a pretty good team. They'll have seen Atlanta already that season, with that second game of the season. But generally, like there's no crazy long homestand. That gets paid off with a crazy long road trip. Everything feels very, very manageable. And again, some of it is that yes, we do think this team's going to be better, but even like, I didn't see any stretches where I'm like, oh, that's like, Boston, Milwaukee, Cleveland all in a row. Like the Magic had that road trip last year where they went to Milwaukee, to Boston. And we were just like, well, that's going to be, that's not going to be fun for this team. Even with how good we thought the Magic would be. I didn't see a lot of that in my first look at the schedule. Maybe I need to go look back at it. But generally, I think like, there's nothing that on paper at least looks too daunting. It looks manageable, which, they'll have some things you want to complain about. I didn't even see like a ton of schedule losses, to be perfectly honest. The only one that I really saw was, I think in late February or early March, they have a back-to-back where they play in Orlando and then go to Cleveland for a national TV game, of course, which if, the NBA needs to stop scheduling national TV games on the second night of back-to-backs if they want the best version of the teams on those networks. But just generally, like everything that you can complain about or things you normally complain about the schedule, there's no like, this is impossible. What are we doing here? It feels very manageable for the team, which I think is a good place.
Phil, you mentioned looking at the national TV games. Normally, I wouldn't be able to, interweave a national TV question and, especially have it apply to the Magic. But this year it does. My question actually is this: as someone who, judging by your tweets, like me, is a little bit of an NBA media nerd, like you kind of, nerd out on some of that stuff. What are your thoughts about this whole new era of NBA TV rights that we're about to enter into with NBC being in the fold? Obviously, that also means Peacock, Amazon, of course, the traditional ESPN, ABC stuff, and especially how the league is doing it, with the pretty much nightly national games. And obviously now the Magic get to be a part of that. But what are your thoughts about what the NBA media landscape is going to look like this year?
I think it's ultimately going to be very good for basketball fans. Having a national TV, I think there is a little bit of a concern of a little bit too much exposure. So the reason why the NFL is such a behemoth is they're on one night, Sunday nights, the schedule's very, very routine. But at the same token, like you got 82 of these games, you got 30 teams. My hope was that having more national TV games would allow the league to feature more teams. And so, I think I can safely say this, and you guys can tell me if you agree or disagree with this. I've always felt as a Magic fan that we're screaming for attention. Like even when the team is mediocre, like this team is screaming for attention. And I think it is, this is an opportunity to give teams a little bit more attention, maybe have a little bit more flexibility to change the national TV schedule as we get deeper into the season, because there's a national TV game every night, or there's a national TV window every night. What I'm most intrigued by and really excited by is the opportunity for a new approach to coverage. everybody loves the TNT guys, and TNT games felt very, very big. But I think as we got to the end of the TNT window, it just especially during the regular season, like during the playoffs, the inside the NBA guys are the absolute best. Like you watch inside the NBA after playoffs every night. Charles, Kenny, and Shaq have such a rich history of experience winning. But during the regular season, like Charles Barkley would admit it, I don't watch half the team. Shaq would admit it, I don't watch half the teams. And so I've never you like that they're real and they're honest, but I never liked that. It was just very, very clear that either A, those guys have an open disdain for the way basketball is played now, which, it's not for everybody. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that basketball is perfect, but your number one vehicle for driving fans to your product is openly trashing the product, is openly saying this, like half the league's not interesting. Don't even bother with them. So what I'm really excited is that A, Amazon and NBC have not had the NBA. NBC hasn't had the NBA since the early 2000s. It's clearly a big deal for them, for both of these networks. And if I know people's distance on Thursday Night Football on Amazon, it can be different. Their mileage can vary. They treat that like a big deal. Like they make those games feel big, even if they don't have great matchups, even if it's on an odd day for NFL. NBC seems like they're going to bring the same approach that they bring to the NFL to the NBA. After NFL, I don't think people realize this. After the NFL season ends, we get basketball night in America Sunday nights. That is they're going to give it the full gravitas and weight of the whole NBC package. And I've had some people say oh, Peacock is the new NBA TV. And I'm just I don't know about that. NBC is going to give this thing the full weight of their attention and their brand that has a pretty rich history. Everyone's excited to see round ball rock back. And so I really think what's exciting is it and even what Carmelo Anthony has said, I think he's on the Amazon broadcast or he's on one of the broadcasts. I forget which one. Probably not good that I don't.
It's NBC.
NBC, yeah. He says, I want to bring this back to caring about basketball and promoting the game and promoting these guys. Blake Griffin's going to be really good on the Amazon broadcast, in my opinion. He's, they're very much bringing a more modern sensibility that's going to promote the game. I think that this is going to be really, really exciting because you're going to have guys that they're going to keep it honest. They'll say when stuff's bad, but they want to see this game succeed. They know the way this game is played, and they're going to have the full weight of two media titans to make these games feel big. And so, yeah, there may be a lot more of these national TV games, and that was important to note when everybody's national TV schedule came out, but it's going to feel a whole lot bigger. And I think a whole lot more exciting. So I'm really excited. And who knows? But I'm really excited to see the approach that these networks are going to bring to the game because, we all saw. No offense to Udonis Haslem, but I think the thing with Zachary Ricochet that came up a few days ago on NBA Today is just exemplifies the problem with NBA media coverage. It's just they're so focused on key markets, key teams, key players, they don't have the depth of knowledge of the league so that, if the Magic are a surprise team or the Hawks do surprise everybody, that they can jump right in and say, no, audience, pay attention to this team. They're really good. We may not have been showing them a whole lot now, but they're fourth in the East. Pay attention to them now. Pay attention to this team. This game is just as important, even though it's not a name you're familiar with.
Well, I think that's, it's so hard to cover this league and pay attention and give all 30 as an individual, as a network, obviously you have different teams, but as an individual, whether it's the talking heads on ESPN or inside the NBA, whoever, it's almost impossible to have a nuanced opinion on every single team, which is why outlets like yours and ours exist. And to your point about NBC, they went out and got Michael freaking Jordan. Who knows how involved he's going to be, but I'm assuming that the investment had to be pretty significant to get Michael Jordan on board. So I'm really looking forward to that. Now, to shift gears to the Magic a little bit, Phil, obviously the talk of the summer has been Desmond Bane, and the talk has been how this is such a great move for the Magic. It's the perfect fit. He's going to basically revolutionize their offense, create so much spacing for Paolo and Franz, and take pressure off of those guys. Are you still kind of in the honeymoon phase of oh my gosh, this is going to be so awesome? Or are you maybe not so sure that it is this like surefire great fit for the Magic, and maybe he's going to be the guy that comes to the state of Florida like other guys and just forget how to shoot the basketball? Like, where are you at with that now?
I think that it's going to improve the team. And I like freezing cold take me later. I predicted it last year and was wrong. The streak is ending this year. The Magic will not be bottom 10 in offensive rating. Will they suddenly be one of the top 10 offenses in the league? Will they suddenly be a top half of the league team on offense? I think there's still work to do on that front. And I do think that the pace at which the Magic tend to play, I'll believe the Magic play faster when they play faster. I do think that there are still some offensive things to tweak and change. And at the end of the day, we don't know. Like, the Magic hired Joe Prunty. He is kind of known as a little bit more of a tactician. How much of the offense is he going to be able to change? How quickly can the Magic develop a rotation that fits Desmond Bane's skill, that creates trust? Desmond Bane is an elite 3-point shooter. He's not an elite spot up 3-point shooter. He's, still high 30s. He'll still help in an amazing way, but his bread and butter is he is one of the best, pull up 3-point shooters in the league. Like he'll get the ball in transition and step up for three, or he'll get a quick pass, and step into a three. He's not I'm going to stand in the corner and take a three guy. That's not his game. And so on top of that, the Magic still don't really have a point guard. They're still kind of doing this point guard by committee thing. And so I think there are still a lot of questions to answer, but we saw this last year. The stat that I've been peddling to everybody throughout the course of the summer is when the Magic shot just 33% from three last year, 33%, still worse than the Wizards, still last in the league. They were 27-10. Like they do not have to shoot amazing from three. They just have to be competent as long as their defense is as strong as it was last year. And so I think the Magic will be more than competent. I think they'll probably be in the 34, 35. Maybe they can get up to 36, considering they were 31, 32 last year. Like that's a huge step up, and that changes everything about this team. Bane's going to help in that regard. Whether it unlocks the offense completely and all of a sudden the Magic are flirting with a top 10 offense, which makes them a championship contender, I think that's the degree we don't know. So I'm still very optimistic. I think everybody recognizes Desmond Bane is the kind of guy the Magic needed. He's not Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's a low volume shooter, which was one of our concerns when he came in. Wasn't going to do much besides spot up threes. Desmond Bane does everything. And I think that's going to inevitably make the offense better so long as there's trust, so long as there's health, so long as they kind of make the puzzle pieces fit, which again, this Magic team hasn't really done on that end in a long time. So there's work to do.
So quick follow-up to that. I think the road to the Magic becoming not necessarily elite, but top 10, top 12 offense in the league is that the regression from the mean that we saw last year, because I have it up now, 23-24, Magic shot 35% from behind the arc. Last year, 31%. If the rest of the team, Wendell, Jonathan Isaac, Jalen Suggs, even the guy like Franz Wagner, who I know we'll talk about, if those guys can take steps relative to where they were last year and you add Desmond Bane, that's when I think you start kind of getting into that territory. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think progression to the mean is a big part of this. I personally I don't think anyone's talking about Jalen Suggs enough, and how as much as Desmond Bane is going to unlock space for everybody else, Desmond Bane just being another attacker and another scorer, I think is going to make Jalen Suggs' job a whole lot easier. It's going to put Jalen Suggs in an offensive role that really works for him. I know, small sample here, so I don't know how much we can take this for. Before Paolo's injury, so the 5 games before Paolo's injury, Jalen Suggs was averaging, I think, 7 catch and shoot 3-pointers per game and shooting like 44, 45, maybe even 46% on those threes. Small sample, 5 games, doesn't mean much. Back in 2024, Jalen Suggs shot 42% on catch and shoot threes. I really think the thing that nobody's talking about, because it's not seen in his full season numbers in either year, Jalen Suggs being the 4th option on offense, essentially. and really being kind of focused on a catch and shoot role with Desmond Bane attacking, with Franz Wagner attacking, with Paolo Banchero attacking, I think that unlocks a big piece of Jalen Suggs' offense. And so now the Magic go from having no volume shooters to Desmond Bane is going to take 6 or 7 threes a game. Jalen Suggs could easily also take 6 or 7 threes a game. And so I think a lot of the shooting problems, again, provided these percentages hold, the role that Jalen Suggs is going to play is going to unlock another piece of this three-point shooting puzzle. And then you add on top of, okay, Paolo gets better from three. He shot 33% from three after the All-Star break last year, which I think is more indicative of where he's at. Franz gets over 30%. That helps a little bit, not significantly. Wendell Carter gets back to a more comfortable, maybe low 30s percentage. Tyus Jones off the bench. Anthony Black's a little bit more consistent from three. Tristan Da Silva's a little bit more consistent from three in his second year. You start getting those little additions, like you said, and now all of a sudden you're not last. You're maybe still bottom of the pack, but you're in the peloton. You're in the group.
Phil, we've talked a lot about the starters, and obviously the starters are by all means locked in. Like, we know who the starting five is for this team. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this second unit. The second unit is going to look totally different this season, obviously, with the departures that we've seen, the guys we drafted, adding Tyus Jones, all that kind of stuff. Do you have any concern about, some of the depth of some of these positions that we have in front of us, or what are your thoughts on what the second unit will be this year?
Yeah, it is actually one of my bigger concerns for the team, because bench scoring has been the superpower. Like, the Magic won those second quarters and early fourth quarters when their bench was in. When they were healthy, that was kind of their superpower. I am my biggest concern is that there's just not enough consistency and there's not enough offensive depth on this team. Now, having said that, I do expect and I do hope that the Magic aren't going to run a straight 10-man rotation where there's a bench lineup of all 5 guys. Really, the Magic should not have any, provided they're all healthy. The Magic should not have any lineup that does not have one of the big 4, the Fantastic Four, whatever we're calling them, does not have one of those 4 on the floor at all times. So one of Jalen Suggs, Desmond Bane, Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner should be on the floor at all times. By the time we get to the playoffs, that should probably be 2 of those 4. And for the most part, I think two of those 4 should probably be on the floor at all times. Maybe figuring out the right combination and all that's going to be part of the struggle in preseason and the early part of the season. But the Magic should be able to keep some offensive threats on the floor. You add in Tyus Jones, that helps a little bit with playmaking. Mo Wagner, when he comes back, adds some scoring. But a lot of this season, I think, still turns on Anthony Black being consistent. Can he be a consistent 3-point threat? Can he be just a consistent scorer? Like, if you look at his splits between wins and losses, he shot like 38% from 3, I think, in wins, and like 25, 26, 27% below 30 in losses. That's correlative, not, I don't think that's causation. It's a correlative effect for sure, but they're putting a lot on Anthony Black's shoulders. I think they're expecting him to be a big piece of that bench group beyond just his defense, which is at a strong level. I do think Tristan Da Silva is going to be a big piece of this puzzle too. I think the Magic could put a lot of faith in Tristan Da Silva because they lack some forward depth. Jonathan Isaac is still there and he's going to be important, but outside of Jonathan Isaac, your backup forwards are Jet Howard, are Tristan Da Silva. Orlando Robinson's a 2-way guy. He's more of a center. They need some wing depth, I think, still. And so a lot, I think, is on Tristan Da Silva to provide that. Now, look, Paolo and Franz are going to still play plenty of minutes. And so you don't need like elite wing depth, but something happens. Paolo and Franz are tanks. It takes torn obliques to take them out of the lineup. If something happens, your depth gets hit a little bit there, and that is a little bit of a concern of mine.
Talking about the depth and talking about the forwards on this roster, we're going to get a better look at 2 of them here in Eurobasket in just a week and a half. We've seen some of the early friendlies and the Super Cup competition that Team Germany is taking part of so far this summer. Early thoughts on like the progression of Franz and Tristan from the end of the season to where they are now. Obviously, Tristan especially probably is going to play a little bit of a different role with the Magic than he is with Germany, but what have you seen out of those guys that you've liked or maybe are concerned about at this point?
Let's start with Tristan because I'm sure we'll talk more about Franz. So I want to dovetail right into that. Tristan looks like he's really carried over what he showed us in Summer League, where he just looks a lot more comfortable and confident on the floor. And I think that's a big key. I think he understands his role for Germany and what they're asking him to do. And look, he's making shots, which helps a lot. Like, I think that's the big ticket for him. He shot 33% at the end of the day last year from three. Like, the Magic need him to be a reliable 3-and-D guy. I like that he is still comfortable enough to be aggressive. He still drives himself into traps. I wouldn't want him doing that too much with the Magic, but these are preseason games. These are exhibition games. Make your mistakes now. Explore the canvas a little bit. That's fine. We'll see what he looks like when the games actually count here in a couple of weeks. But I've been really, really impressed with Tristan da Silva. I thought he was kind of given a training camp invite to Germany. I wasn't expecting him to be ready for that stage. I was like, this is a veteran team. They're serious about winning. They don't want some rookie hanging around. And he's had some nervy moments where he's like, oh, I'm on the German national team. Tristan Silva's going to be part of the rotation. He's going to play in Eurobasket and I think have a pretty sizable role. I was really impressed with the way he filled gaps in the game against Serbia on Saturday. Franz looks like Franz. Let's start there. I want to make, before we get into all the negatives and all the questions about him, Franz still looks like Franz Wagner. Like, he's still doing all the Euro steps. He's still like got that deft touch. He's still, good in pick and rolls. Like, he still does all the things Franz does. He said in the media day for German basketball that he worked on his low post game. I think some of that was by necessity because Germany is a much smaller team than they have been over the last few years. Voigtman and Thiemann have to play center because Mo Wagner's out and Isaiah Hartenstein's not playing. So they've had to play a lot more center. This is a very, very tiny team. Daniel Theis only played one game so far. This is a very tiny team. And so Franz is playing a lot more traditional power forward. The thing that I've been most interested in is they're running a little bit more pick and rolls where Franz is the screener. I can't recall the Magic doing that very often. And Franz is diving to the basket and sealing his man when he gets a smaller matchup and getting a lot more mid-post up looks. And so I'm really intrigued with that potential because the Magic are so versatile that they should be able to run those four guys. Like, all five of those guys should be able to run pick and rolls. Wendell Carter maybe shouldn't be the ball handler, but all five of those guys should be able to run both sides of the pick and roll. Like, the Magic can get real creative in how they hunt matchups and how they force defenses to make decisions and put guys who aren't necessarily comfortable. Like, if you're a team guarding Franz Wagner with a small forward or guard, and suddenly he's running a screen and roll with Paolo Banchero, and you have to make a decision, what do I do? And you're not used to guarding that side of a pick and roll. That gives you an inherent advantage, even if the team tries to scheme something up. And so I've been really interested with how Germany's used Franz in that context, and he's making those shots. Like, his post game, his footwork we know is really good. His post games look decent. He's getting more mid-range shots and getting shots in different ways. Obviously, we care more about the 3-point shooting, and I think that is very, very fair. The hitch is gone. I think that's good news. The shots still aren't going in. I'm happy that he's confident. I'm happy that he's taking three. He took 3 threes in the first 3 games and then 9 in the fourth game. So, again, small samples, but he's not passing up threes. Teams are still closing out to him, which I think is more important than anything else. He's really falling in love with this one dribble step back 3, which is not a high percentage shot. He's not getting high percentage threes. Like, he's not getting open threes. None of his threes have been really open. Maybe there's been 1 or 2. A lot of them are pull ups. A lot of them are step backs, low percentage threes. He's not making them, but the form looks better. He looks a little bit more comfortable and confident with it. I'm still cautiously optimistic that he'll be fine when the season starts, but he shot poorly the last 2 tournaments, shot well in the last Eurobasket in 2022, shot well the season after that, didn't shoot well the next 2, and shot poorly the season after that. So I think there's still work to do, but it's in the right direction. I'm not expecting Franz to jump back to 35% this year. If he can be 32, 33%, that's a step in the right direction and probably enough for how important he is elsewhere.
Now, if he does get to 35%, what does the outlook look like for the Magic?
That probably means they have 2 All-NBA players on their team, to be perfectly honest. It means that we shouldn't be focused on just the second round anymore. It's just like, no, they can win the whole thing because you have 2 of the best players in the league at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil, there's been this phrase that has been uttered around the NBA universe, even the Orlando Magic universe, all summer long. We've said it on our show. I think I remember maybe hearing you say it on your show earlier in the summer. This whole idea of quote, the East is wide open, right? We've said it a million times. We've heard it a million times. And especially now as we kind of get closer and closer to the start of the season, looking at the schedule and stuff, I've really started to like chew on that phrase and like ask myself, is this opportunity really there? Now that we're kind of removed a little bit from some of the jaw-dropping injuries that we experienced in the East from March to June, pretty much across the Eastern Conference, like, where are you with that phrase? Like, is that just a silly catchphrase that we in, kind of the basketball coverage world have been throwing out, or do you think there's some validity to that?
I think there's two things involved in that. First, I think it is the way analysts are looking at the Magic and how they typically act and saying, this is why the Magic put all their chips in, is like this window opened up unexpectedly. Again, remember the Magic made the Desmond Bane trade before the Tyrese Halliburton injury. This window opened up unexpectedly, and a team that was like very, very close made the decision to go all in because that window opened. And so I think some of it is being said because of what the Magic did and frankly, how they acted, how Atlanta acted to some extent, how Miami acted, although it was very, very delayed on Miami's part, how Milwaukee maybe acted. I think it was just, it's been kind of used as this catch-all for like why everyone else in the East got aggressive. I don't think that's necessarily the case for the Magic. As Jeff Weltman pointed out, like it's, we're not here to win the East. We're here to win the league. The Magic knew they needed to do something big to win the league. And, quite frankly, this was their last summer to really do something this big, because of how expensive their team's going to get, because, even before they acquired Desmond Bane, they were staring at flirting with the second apron in 2027. This pushed them over the top for that most likely, but it was inevitable that they'd have to make a major move, and they wouldn't have really had the opportunity to do so in this significant way. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the Desmond Bane trade could not have been completed after the draft. Like it had to be done in that window, or else the cap math would have been very, very difficult. So I think it's being used as this catch-all to explain how teams acted throughout the offseason. By the same token, like, yes, the East feels very wide open. Cleveland and New York are the top two teams. The top two teams left who aren't dealing with these major injuries. And Cleveland's lost in the second round the last 2 years. They won 60 plus games last year, lost in the second round. New York, has been to the conference finals now, or has been to the second round of the playoffs 2 straight years. They get to the conference finals last year. They fired their coach. They're still very good. I'm not sitting here saying they're not, but they've got some questions to answer. And so by that token, typically when you look at teams that are going to the finals, you're thinking that team's experienced, they paid their dues. There's no team that is the surefire, like, no, they're ready to take that step up. They're ready to make that step. And so to that point, like Orlando feels like, why can't it be us? Why shouldn't it be us? We're, we took Cleveland to 7 games 2 years ago. It's essentially the same team up there. Why can't we get there? Experience would be a good argument why they can't. They haven't won a playoff series yet, but neither has Atlanta, neither has Detroit. Milwaukee has $25 million of dead Damian Lillard money sitting on their books that they can't spend. Yeah, there's still Giannis. Yeah, there's, they got Miles Turner, but they've got some major holes. There's no clear favorite in the Eastern Conference. And again, like Cleveland and New York should absolutely be everybody's favorites and absolutely should be penciled them in as the top 2 teams. I don't think any of us are going to argue with that, but they haven't done it either. And they've got a lot of questions to answer, just as many as the Magic do. Maybe you're more comfortable answering those questions right now than you are with the Magic. But it does feel like with both Tatum and Halliburton out, 2 of the top contenders, 2 teams that have been to the finals, they're not there standing in the way anymore. And so it does feel like this season, everything is very, very wide open for a team that gets hot in the playoffs, that manages the season correctly, that feels confident. That's the team that's going to be the team that gets to the finals and represents the East.
Now that we've had a few days to sit with the schedule, have you gotten to the point where you're like, oh, I'm going to predict the Magic win this amount of games? And are you willing to let us in on what that is?
I typically do not do that. Just because like you just can't predict injuries.
Sure.
You can't, like, if I were to do that, I'd want to know where the rest advantage games, where, this team's coming to Orlando from New Orleans, on a back-to-back, or this team is, this team is at the end of a road trip. Like, you just have to do so much research to know, like, okay, this is a schedule loss here. This should be a schedule win here. I typically don't do that. I would say I do expect this team to win 50 games. I think, as just a benchmark, I know that's kind of the over under on them is 50.5 or 51.5, depending on your book, on your sports book. I do expect this team to win 50 games, hit that mark. And I honestly, I expect this team to be third in the East. Like, I think Atlanta is a scary team, and Atlanta had a really good summer. I don't quite trust Atlanta yet. I don't think they have the same top end talent that the Magic do. Detroit's the same way. I think Detroit's very, very good. I've spent a lot of the summer subtweeting Detroit for some reason. They've been subtweeting the Magic, so I guess turnabout's fair play. But Detroit, Detroit fans would admit, and Detroit people would admit, they don't have a Franz Wagner. Like, Cade might be their Paolo. They don't have a Franz. Like, Jaden Ivey ain't that guy yet. He's coming off a major injury. They don't have that guaranteed second guy. And so I think expectations for this Magic team should be as high as you can think they are. Like, I've been telling people all summer, I don't need to tell Magic fans this. This isn't some 7 seed that just scraped into the playoffs and got very excited about just making the playoffs to push their chips in. This is a team that won 47 games 2 years ago, took the Cleveland Cavaliers to 7 games as the 5 seed. They were sitting in the 2 seed with a week to go in the season. They weren't ready to win those games on the road that they had to play. This is a team that I think knows it's better than its record and is thinking, like, we're going to make the leap. We should have not only just make the leap we should have made last year, but build on the season we should have had last year.
Well, Phil, I hope you've kind of taken some time, and obviously, you're a journalist first, and you do such a great job covering this team, and I know Magic fans everywhere are really appreciative of that. But I know behind that is still the kid that grew up, in Central Florida, grew up an Orlando Magic fan, and this is shaping out to be potentially the best team that you've covered professionally. So I hope that you've allowed that to, sink in a little bit. And, I just know that Kevin and myself especially really appreciate you, because for a long time, if there wasn't OrlandoMagicDaily.com, there was basically no Orlando Magic coverage. So the fact that you've been covering the team since that point, and now we're hopefully on the precipice of a really special era and a really exciting time to be a Magic fan. Is that, have you taken 5 minutes to kind of get excited about that at all?
Yeah, it's mostly in conversations with people. It's friends and family who aren't super into the Magic, who aren't following this team. And they know I'm the Magic guy, and they'll ask me how the Magic can be. And I'll turn to them. I'll be like, this team's going to be really good. Even their low mark is probably still better than anything we've seen over the last decade. This group is going to be very, very good. And I take the team at their word. I try in my coverage, if the team's going to set expectations for themselves, I'm going to use the language that they're saying. Jeff Weltman said it. We're not here to win the East. We're here to win the NBA. I don't think since 2010, the Magic have openly talked about winning a championship in this way. And when, especially someone as guarded as Jeff can be, is openly talking about it, that tells you how excited this thing is, and I've run across a few players here and there over the summer. When I've talked to them, hey, how are things going this summer? They'll tell me I'm really excited about the season. The player, you can feel it from the players. They know the opportunity in front of them. And a lot of these guys have been through, the best part about building a team with the continuity the Magic have largely had is they were here when it was bad. They know how good it's been, and they know how much better it's going to be. And so, when players tell you they're excited, when media people are telling you that this could be a fun team, this team's going to do a lot of things, it all seems to be aligning. And so it's just, I try to be attached enough to be excited about it. And I am very, very excited about it. I try to be detached enough about it to enjoy the ride too, and not try and get swept up and and go crazy over every little thing. But this season is going to be a lot of fun. The next 2-3 seasons until, the second apron eats them up, it's going to be fun. And, you think about it this way. The only time the Magic have had multiple all-stars is Shaq and Penny in 95 and 96. T-Mac and Grant Hill in 2001. That doesn't necessarily count. And then Dwight, Jameer, and Rashard in 2009. They're going to have multiple all-stars this year. And in Magic history, that means they're competing for a championship. Like that's the reality of what we're talking about. And so it's just more wrapping your head around the fact that that's the goal now. And that's not some crazy far off goal. That's a thing that's going to happen. Like I've honestly talked to like Tony East from Locked On Pacers about his experience covering the Pacers and how dream like that run was. That's the kind of team we're looking at this year, except we see it coming.
When your franchise player signs his extension and then immediately takes to social media and says, let's go win a championship, I don't know how you don't just instantly get fired up. And, we have more reason to be excited than we have in the last, 15 years, essentially. So,
and honestly, like I see Kevin wearing the hat there. The whole refresh just feels right too. Like the timing on the refresh, I know it was just incidental timing. It all feels right. They hit that out of the park. Secure ownership means something. I know people aren't always crazy about the DeVos family, but like the announced kind of like succession plan, Ryan DeVos, I think, was just named to the board for the Dr. Phillips Center. Like they're more involved in Orlando than they've ever been. Like I know everyone complained about when Rich DeVos was the owner, how kind of absent they were, for better or worse. Maybe it's for worse, but I think it's generally for better. They're going to be very involved here and they're going to be part of this community. And so I think, even just like, I know it's small, but like, and I haven't seen it yet, the new scoreboard, like putting the TDT funds to use in the arena, it's going to feel very refreshed and new and exciting. And so it's going to be, these 6 weeks, as much as I'm looking forward to Eurobasket, these 6 weeks need to get done pretty quickly. I'm ready to go.
Well, I'm freaking fired up. Well, Phil, we really appreciate you taking the time. Always great talking to you. Looking forward to seeing you at Media Day in a few weeks here and at games all season long. But if you wouldn't mind, just take a moment to remind our listeners and viewers where they can find all your work.
Yeah, the best place to find my work, obviously the podcast, if you're not already subscribed, is Locked On Magic. You can download that wherever you download podcasts, as well as find us on YouTube if you like seeing my smiling face every morning or every day that you listen. You can find my written work primarily at orlandomagicdaily.com. So that's been that way for 15 or so years now. I don't know exactly how time works anymore, but that's where you find my work, and always on Twitter at @PhilipR_OMD and at OMagicDaily.
The Podfather, thank you so much, my friend. Kev, I am freaking fired up. Big thanks to our friend Philip Rossman-Reich from OrlandoMagicDaily.com and Locked On Magic for joining the show. We're getting into the point of the offseason, Kevin, where like this is the time each year that we start to schedule our friends who cover the team and some of like the FanDuel TV personalities. And every time we have these conversations, as we're now officially like gearing up for the season, now that free agency is over, we have the schedule in our hands. Like now it's just, we're getting ready for the regular season to start. And it just gets me so freaking excited for this year.
Especially this one. Like, you and I, we've been here. This is our 5th off season together, Jonathan, which is crazy. Our first one together was 2021 doing this show together. Not that I was co-host, of course, there was another guy, but but around, and
another guy.
Obviously,
he's gonna love that.
I know that was just for him. But this year's different. Like this summer is different. Obviously, if you're listening to the show, and especially now, if you've made it here to the end of the episode, you know what this summer has looked like. But I still just like I can't. My brain can't get there. Like what this year could really be. By all accounts, it's going to be really special. And special could be you win 45 games but have a deep playoff run. That's very possible. Or special could be you win 55 games and you're out in the second round, right? Like,
or you win 62 and you win the NBA championship.
There's also that option, right? And somewhere in there's really poor options, things we don't love, But the fact that all those things are possible, like regular season success is very possible, postseason success is really possible, and maybe a little bit of both. It's just really hard not to get excited and to quite literally count down the days until October 4th, the preseason, October 22nd, the regular season. Let's go. Let's bring it on.
Let's do it. Counting down the days. Get me to October 22nd, I think is
That's the
opening night for the Orlando Magic. Get me
That's
to
the
October
one, yeah.
22nd because we talked about earlier, the preseason sucks. But
that's right. Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for this one. Or do you have something else?
I was just going to say Thursday's episode might look a little different.
Ooh, yes.
So,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That's again, for those of you that have made it all the way to the end of the episode, this is your little breadcrumbs.
Yep.
Your little teaser. Thursday's episode will look a little different. Pretty excited about that. Definitely going to capitalize on that. And I think that's all I got.
I'm trying to think of another pun that would kind of help that, but monumental kind of episode for us. So looking forward to that. That is officially going to do it for this one. Again, a big thank you to our friend Philip Rossman-Reich. For Kevin Tucker, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!